On July 26, 2025, the world lost a musical genius whose wit, intellect, and fearless satire redefined comedy and song. Tom Lehrer passed away at 97, leaving a legacy as sharp and enduring as his lyrics. The news, confirmed by his friend and archivist Jeff Morris to the New York Times and shared across X by fans like its satire lover, who called him a genius who made us laugh and think, sparked an outpouring of grief and admiration. Born in Manhattan, New York, Lehrer was a mathematician, singer-songwriter, and satirist whose mere 37 songs, recorded in the 1950s and 1960s, tackled everything from nuclear annihilation to quirky love with unmatched cleverness. Hits like Poisoning Pigeons in the Park, The Elements, and Wernher von Braun influenced comedians like Weird Al Yankovic and Bo Burnham, blending dark humor with musical theater flair. A Harvard prodigy who retired from performing at 37 to teach mathematics and musical theater, Lehrer lived quietly but profoundly. Today, we delve deeply into Tom Lehrer's cause of death, age, family, net worth, lifestyle, and biography, celebrating a man whose songs remain a beacon of wit and wisdom. Thomas Andrew Lehrer was born on April 9, 1928, on Manhattan's Upper East Side to Morris James Lehrer, a necktie manufacturer, and Anna Lehrer, née Waller, in a secular Jewish family steeped in intellectual curiosity. Growing up alongside his younger brother, Barry Waller Lehrer, Tom's childhood was marked by privilege but shadowed by his parents' divorce when he was 14, a rupture that shaped his introspective nature. His mother, a nurturing force, recognized his musical gifts early, enrolling him in classical piano lessons at 7, but Tom was drawn to the sophisticated pop of Cole Porter and Sylvia Fine, prompting a switch to a popular music piano teacher, as noted in a 1998 Irish Times profile. At the prestigious Horace Mann School in the Bronx, he was a child prodigy, skipping grades and writing show tunes that foreshadowed his satirical genius. By 15, after graduating from Loomis School in Connecticut, he entered Harvard College, where his mathematics professor Irving Kaplansky fostered his analytical brilliance. A 1943 poem published in Scholastic magazine, written in the style of Gilbert and Sullivan, secured his Harvard admission, ending with the cheeky line, "And maybe I'll get into Harvard," a playful glimpse of the irreverence that would define his career. At Harvard, Lehrer's multifaceted talents flourished. As a freshman, he penned the Subway song, inspired by the Boston subway stop's initials spelling HCKCPW, and began performing humorous songs at campus gatherings, as detailed in The Famous People. Earning his BA in mathematics at 19 in 1946 and his master's in 1947, he joined Harvard's doctoral program, later working at Los Alamos Scientific Laboratory and teaching at MIT, Harvard, and Wellesley. His musical career took flight with songs by Tom Lehrer in 1953, a self-funded album recorded for just $15 in a Boston studio. Tracks like The Irish Ballad, about a maid who gleefully murders her family, and I Want to Go Back to Dixie, dripping with ironic nostalgia, showcased his penchant for dark humor. Sold through word of mouth and campus networks, the album became a cult hit despite radio stations shunning its provocative content, as the Harvard Crimson reported. His 1959 album More of Tom Lehrer featured Poisoning Pigeons in the Park, a darkly comic ode to springtime mischief, and The Old Dope Peddler, celebrating a drug dealer's good deeds with wicked irony, both of which became fan favorites. The 1960s marked the peak of Lehrer's satirical output as he wrote for That Was the Week That Was, a U.S. television show tackling political and social issues. Songs like the folk song Army skewered the earnestness of the counterculture, while We Will All Go Together When We Go transformed nuclear war fears into a jaunty sing-along with nihilistic glee. His 1965 album That Was the Year That Was captured these timely pieces, solidifying his influence. Performing 109 shows over a decade, Lehrer sold millions of records without mainstream radio play, as Lookout Santa Cruz noted. His iconic The Elements, setting the periodic table to Gilbert and Sullivan's Major General's song, earned praise for its heroically precise enunciation, per a 2018 Nature article. Lehrer's love for musical theater, especially Gilbert and Sullivan, infused his work with theatricality, evident in songs like Oedipus Rex, which turned Greek tragedy into a playful ditty. His brief foray into children's television with songs for the Electric Company, including silent E and ly, showcased his versatility, teaching grammar with the same wit he used to mock geopolitics. Lehrer retired from performing in 1973 at 37, famously quipping, "When Mozart was my age, he'd been dead for 2 years," and devoted himself to teaching mathematics and musical theater at the University of California, Santa Cruz, splitting his time between Santa Cruz and Cambridge, Massachusetts. His rare 1998 London performances for Cameron Mackintosh's musical theater gala, where he performed Poisoning Pigeons and The Elements, were driven by his passion for Broadway, rooted in shows like Cole Porter's Let's Face It, which he saw as a teen. Lehrer's refusal to chase fame was legendary. He turned down lucrative offers to revive his performing career, telling the New York Times in 1998, "I'd rather teach than entertain." His teaching career at UC Santa Cruz, where he lectured on topics from calculus to the history of musical theater, was as impactful as his music. Students recalled his dry humor and ability to make complex concepts accessible, as noted in a 2001 Santa Cruz Sentinel profile. His 1980 musical Tomfoolery, adapted from his songs, enjoyed a successful West End run, further cementing his influence on musical comedy. Lehrer's personal life was a study in privacy and solitude. He never married, had no children, and told BuzzFeed in 2007, "I don't need to make money after I'm dead," when asked about his song's future. His brother Barry's death in 2007 left him without close family, and he maintained few personal ties, preferring books and music to social fanfare. A childhood friendship with Stephen Sondheim, forged at Camp Androscoggin in Maine, endured. In 1996, Lehrer called Sondheim the greatest lyricist in the English language, per IMDb. His Harvard circle included historian Arthur Schlesinger Jr., and he admired Adlai Stevenson, the Democratic presidential candidate, reflecting his square, suit-wearing liberal ideals as BuzzFeed described. Lehrer distanced himself from the New Left's aesthetics, mocking their peace and justice rhetoric in the folk song army. His refusal to satirize figures like George W. Bush, saying in a 2003 Sydney Morning Herald interview, "I don't want to satirize them, I want to vaporize them," underscored his disdain for shallow political humor. His army service from 1955 to 1957 at the National Security Agency, where he claimed to invent the Jell-O shot to skirt a liquor ban, inspired songs like "It Makes a Fellow Proud to Be a Soldier," a tongue-in-cheek ode to military life. Lehrer's lifestyle was as unassuming as his satire was audacious. His net worth, estimated at $1.5 million to $35 million by Wikilogy and Popular Bio, stemmed from record sales, teaching, and royalties from the Electric Company and Tomfoolery. He lived modestly in Cambridge, Massachusetts, in a home filled with books, vinyl records, and a Noel Coward shrine, as Jeff Morris told BuzzFeed. Lehrer owned no luxury cars or properties, valuing intellectual pursuits over materialism. His love for Gilbert and Sullivan and Broadway shows like Oklahoma shaped his work, and he spent summers at Camp Androscoggin, later as a counselor fostering young talent. In 2020, at 92, he placed his songs in the public domain, telling a fan, "I'm fine with that," per BuzzFeed, a selfless act reflecting his indifference to wealth. His philanthropy was minimal, but his influence on artists like Randy Newman, Liz Winstead, and Bo Burnham was profound, as the Harvard Crimson noted. He remained sharp into his 90s, teaching until 2001 and occasionally attending musical theater events, as recalled by students in a 2010 UC Santa Cruz alumni newsletter. Health-wise, Lehrer was a marvel, maintaining mental clarity into his later years. A 2018 Santa Cruz Sentinel interview described him attending a local theater performance at 90, chuckling at a reference to The Elements. Unconfirmed rumors of declining health in early 2025 preceded his peaceful passing on July 26, 2025, at his Cambridge home, likely from natural causes at 97, as reported by @MathWit on X and the New York Times. Tributes poured in, with @Comedy Nerd calling him the godfather of musical satire, and @ScienceWit praising his mathematical precision in humor. Lehrer's death closed a chapter, but his 37 songs remain timeless, their influence evident in Weird Al's parodies, Burnham's biting comedy, and The Daily Show's edge, as the Harvard Crimson observed. Critics like the New York Times once called his work more desperate than amusing. But fans adored his audacity, forgiving his reluctance to engage modern satire's softer targets as a mark of integrity. From Manhattan's Upper East Side to Harvard's halls to global stages, Lehrer's wit challenged sacred cows, making us laugh, think, and question. The sorrow of Lehrer's loss is tempered by the joy of his music, each biting lyric, each clever rhyme a testament to his genius. His songs, from the Vatican Rag's cheeky jabs to Smut's playful defense of free expression, captured a world in flux, their relevance undimmed by time. His life, blending mathematical rigor with musical mischief, was a masterclass in living authentically. The pain of his absence is eased by the laughter and insight he left behind, in every note and every verse. If Tom Lehrer's story of brilliance, humor, and heart has touched you, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Let's keep his satirical legacy alive, honoring a man whose songs still spark joy and reflection. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the life of Tom Lehrer. Until next time, play his music, embrace the wit, and let his spirit endure.